Hi there. In this video, we'll be discussing how to log into the Blackboard Learn website with IPAC Canada. So you'll see here at the top of the page, there's ipaccanada.blackboard.com. This is the course URL. You type that right into your address bar and hit enter, and it'll bring you to this website. At this point, you need to put in your username as well as your password. These particular items were emailed to you earlier by Jane and myself, the course coordinators, from our email address, basicde@ipac-canada.org. Your username will always start with the word IPAC, and then you need to put in whatever the rest of your username was. So mine, for instance, is Heather C, and I'll put in my password and hit login. This will bring you to the main page of the course. As a student, you will have access to only one section of the course. Right now, you're actually looking at an instructor view, so you'll see there's several courses listed here on the right-hand side. You will only have access to either IPAC Canada Course Section 1 or IPAC Canada Course Section 2. So I'll just take you into Section 1 just to get an idea of what the course is laid out and what it looks like.
Just want to make a comment here. As we go through these screens, like Heather mentioned, this is the instructor screen. So your screen will not look exactly like this, but the names of the items that we're accessing should be there. So, but you aren't going to see everything that we're seeing now.
Yeah, you have a much more simplified view. If anything, Jane and I have way more functions, and our profiles will show way more functions than yours would. Okay, so on the right-hand side of the screen here, you'll see what's called courses. If you click on courses, it would actually take you back to the main screen. You will not have this button here called My Pro Sites, okay? On the left-hand side, this is where you'll see IPAC Canada Course Section 1, and you'll have something called Home Page. So this home page, whenever you click it, it will bring you back to this screen. So you'll always be able to toggle back to this screen by using this home page link. One thing I'll make mention of is whenever you log into the course, you should always take a look at the My Announcements page. Here is any important information that will be posted, that if there's a change in the notes, if there's any technical information you need to know, if grades have been posted, generally an announcement will be put up, and you should be checking this very frequently to make sure that you're up to date with everything to do with the course. So when you first log in, there will be a welcome message. And if you click on that welcome message, it'll take you to the announcement. Welcome to the 2014-15 class, preview all the orientation videos, materials, da-da-da-da. So do make sure that you're checking the announcements frequently. You can see any problems that are happening in the course will be up here, and this is how you stay up to date on that.
And again, you're not going to be seeing all these announcements. You should only see that first announcement.
That's right, yeah. So to get back to the main page, the home page, you just want to click back on home page, and that'll take you back here again, okay? There's not much else that you'll really use in this main screen. So now Jane's going to walk you through how to go through the course information. This is a very important section, which is found right here under homepage. You'll see course information link.
Okay, under course information are a lot of high level of information that you do need to know about the course. And some of these, like I say, at this point, if you click on them, there's not going to be information in them yet because it might not have been fully posted. But the first one is all student bios and pictures. So once you post your bio and picture, which we'll explain later, we'll put all the information together and create a file so that you can see the information on all the students enrolled in the class, both students in your section and students in the other section. There'll be approximately 40-some students, 20 in each section. So that'll all be under all students' bios and pictures. Student discussion groups, as we mentioned in some of the orientation material, that discussion forum is a big part of the course, and all the students are broken into different groups. We don't want to have 20 or 30 students all discussing at the same time. It's very hard to manage. So students are all broken down into groups by section. And once we try to sort of assign you to a group based a bit on geography, a bit of your background, so we don't have all nurses from Newfoundland in one course, in one discussion group. This makes for a more lively discussion, and you can see the differences and how people are doing things differently. But if you click on that student discussion group, once it's loaded, you'll be able to see all the different groups and where your name falls. If by chance you go in there and your name is not there in any of the groups, then let us know, okay? The next one is the discussion board grading criteria. And in this, it's just basically a rubric that explains how the discussion board is graded and how you get points in the discussion forum. There is another video that deals specifically with the discussion board, and a lot of this will be dealt with in detail, but just let you know it is there. The next one, which is very important, is your course outline and calendar. And if you click on that, it should open up and you should see the course outline, which was also mailed to you or emailed to you in your welcome email. But it gives all the information about the course, a summary of what was talked about in the orientation video, and at the very end is the actual course dates and who the instructors are. And this is very important, and we highly suggest you print this out and keep this for further reference. Explains who the instructors are for the different modules with the dates associated with the various modules as well.
It'll also show you when your take-home exam is due and what dates you have.
And as we mentioned before, this is important to print this out, and if there's any issues with some of the dates, if you're on vacation during a certain time, please, again, let us know so we can make some arrangements. So if you go back to course information, then the next section is faculty bios and pictures. And again, this is just a summary of all the faculty that are associated with the course. It's broken, once you open it up, it's broken down into administrators, which would be Heather and I, course instructors, and discussion facilitators. So you can see a picture of the various faculty members and a bit of bio about them. Okay, next one is, course policies and forms. And in here, again, we suggest you review this as well. It talks about the various policies in terms of withdrawals, deferrals, needing extensions, requesting certificates, plagiarism policies, whatnot. Under the forms, there's the various forms you might need to know if you need an extension. Again, if you do need an extension, please let the instructor know well in advance of when you need it, not the day after something's due. Request to defer a module, request to withdraw, request for transcripts, request for certificates, request for transcripts and marks and whatnot. But they're all found in this section under policies and forms. The next section is your student Blackboard orientation manual, which was also sent to you as an attachment in your welcome letter. And it's useful to have this as well. It sort of basically explains a lot of the things that we're talking about in these videos, but it's a hard copy of it that you can work through with the different screenshots and whatnot. And finally, the last item is study tips, which some students, particularly if they've been out of the study mode for a while, may find it useful in terms of ideas for managing your studying and your time for doing the course. So all that information under course information is found on the left-hand side. And like I say, go around and play, go into it. We do highly suggest you look at your course outline and calendar and your policies as well. Okay?
Okay, so I'm going to go over the various module components. So there are 6 modules in the course, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, as you'll see listed here on the left-hand side. So depending on what module you're taking.
It might not be listed there yet.
And that's what I'll just go over. So the modules, module 1 will be visible to you as soon as you log in for the very first time. Once module notes are posted, those links become active. So module 2 won't become available to you or even visible to you until we've posted the notes in there. And the notes are usually posted a week in advance of the module starting, so you can get a head start on that. Not all the notes, but maybe the first week or 2 will be posted, and that makes that link active, and then you can click on it. So what I'm going to do is take you into just one of the modules. So let's try module 2. Every module, module 1 through module 6, is laid out in the identical way. You will have your module notes. So you want to click on this, and in here you'll see all the notes are laid out by week. So if you refer to your course calendar, that also goes through the weeks, and you'll see what's covered in each week. So from October 28th to November 3rd, for instance, you'd go over the review of medical micro, pathophysiology of infection. When you click in that, you'll see it's broken down further into units, and these are actually the notes in here. So you want to print out both of these, for instance. Let's go back.
Again, like I say, Heather's using module 2 because we have access to that. If you're following through in this video and you're clicking on module 2, that won't be there. It's just to show you how it's laid out in terms of the notes by week kind of thing.
And everything's laid out the same between each module for consistency.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to take you up to the top here. You should be able to see this is called a breadcrumb trail. When you're way back in module 2, week 1, for instance, say you want to toggle all the way back to microbiology, you can just do that. Instead of going back one level to the M2 notes folder, you can go all the way back to the beginning, and it'll take you right back here, okay? So that it creates a breadcrumb trail at the top, so it's a quick way to navigate through the course. So next, in this particular area, so if you were to click, we're back here at this level. When I click module 2, it looks the same, okay? So you have the module notes. This document called the final exam document, it'll just spontaneously arrive 10 days prior to the due date, okay? So don't be looking for it until 10 days prior to the module exam being due. And I'll post an announcement saying, hey, by the way, guys, exam has been posted. Okay, so you have 10 days to complete that, and it'll be a Word document, a fillable Word document. When you're finished your exam, you would find an exam submission link. There'll be a separate video Jane and I will post on how to submit an exam, and we'll go through that process. But this is where you would submit an exam, and every module would have its specific link. Also, you have assigned discussion groups, and you're assigned to a specific week to discuss. So you've been assigned a group, and you just go and look in your assigned discussion weeks for that module, and it's broken down by week, and you can see if you're in group A3, you would post in both weeks 2 and week 4, and it looks like all groups had to discuss in week 1. Okay, so this is how you'd manage what weeks you're discussing. And of course, you should print off your course calendar so that you know what week corresponds with what according to the calendar, okay? So I can just take you back, say, through Module 3, and you'll see it's laid out in the same fashion. So Module 3, final exam document, submission link, and then your assigned discussion week. So every module looks the same. The only thing that really differs is the notes inside. Now, over here again on the left-hand side, this is sort of the meat and potatoes of the entire course. So Jane did the course information. Here's all your module materials. Then you're going to have something called the discussion board. And there's a separate video going over how to use the discussion board. But this is where you go in to discuss all portions of the course. Next, you'll see a practicum link. In here is where you would deal with all your practicum documents and submitting them and that sort of thing. You don't really need to use this until later in 2015. So in January, we'll post an orientation video regarding this section. Okay?
And just want to emphasize here, too, that all the notes and discussion forums and whatnot will be available to you only until about mid-July next year. So if there's anything that you want to save for reference going forward, either print it out or download it, because after you don't have access for this forever. After about the middle of July, after your course finishes, you will be deregistered and the information is no longer available for you. So just keep that in mind as you're going through it. If there's anything you want to keep, download it or print it out.
That's right. The onus is on the student to keep that information, okay? So underneath the practicum, you'll find something important called the tools. Now, I'm going to click on this link and show you. Your view is not going to look like this. Jane and I have master views, so we have access to a whole bunch of tools. You really only have access to send email. So let's click on tools. Again, yours is not really going to look like this, but we'll scroll down here, and you'll have this icon here called Send Email. If you click on Send Email, this is how you internally send an email within Blackboard. Okay, so the only way you should really be sending an email is by selecting users. Please don't click all teaching assistants or all instructors. You want to select the user. Right now, the only 2 people registered in this course are Jane and I, but in future, when we go through and add all the students, you'll see a list of all the students, all the instructors, and all the discussion facilitators. So you need to determine who you need to email. So I'll show you how this works. If you wanted to email me, you just move me over to the other box. This is just like an email. You can say, hi, Heather. And then in the body, you just write your message. When you scroll down, you hit submit, and that sends me an email. Okay? Actually, Jane and I share an email address, so theoretically you're actually sending it to both of us. But anyway, so that's how you send an email internally in Blackboard. And I think that's about it for this particular portion of the video.
There is another section on grades, but again, we'll be explaining that in another video once it becomes relevant and you actually have grades to look at.
Okay, so this ends this video regarding the general layout of the course.